Okay, let's start with just going through at least parts of your video, and then I'm going to go over some recommendation stuff. So, I think there may have been a little miscommunication as to how I wanted you to try doing that first one. The repeat stuff was supposed to come after working on things. So basically, making sure you can get, like do really well. I think I may have said like just do one bar at a time to start with and see like if can you get it to like maybe 180. I might be remembering wrong, but I know the repeat stuff was definitely something to do after doing a max thing, working it up with all 4 repetitions. Uh, Usually a bit much. We don't need to do that when we're trying to build speed and we're trying to see how fast we can get with stuff. Um, and then yeah, when you're practicing, it's absolutely essential that you go 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, and so on, because um, so when I'm going to point things out here, it's all with good intention. I'm going to try and not sound like a jerk as much as I can. So if you think I'm tearing things apart too much, just know I'm not doing it to be a jerk, but to be informative, so you can know what to look for, what to fix, and all that stuff. That I guess that's the whole part of this, the whole point of this whole process, right? Um, so let's start listening and point some things out as you go here. So yeah, with the whole repeat thing, the new thing we're going to be going over, it's definitely no repeats at all. We're just not even going to think about that to start, because it looks like I want to get you to develop some good practice habits first before we start messing with any kind of repetition stuff. But here we go. So right there, like I know so I know you're sending in like a demonstration thing here, but it's also important that when you are sending in a demonstration thing, you treat it just like it was how you'd be practicing. So a mistake was made, which means another mistake was made. So remember, when mistakes are made, you need to address them right away. So if you have not watched that video I mentioned about how to practice your lessons, definitely got to do it, because it talks very much about good detail why you need to address mistakes as soon as they happen. But basically, if you practice while making mistakes, you're just getting good at making mistakes. In order to eliminate mistakes as much as possible, you need to address them immediately and start again. Do the takeover again. There's a little bit of timing issues after that. It's back. The timing's better right now. Sounds like a little bit of muting issues coming through there. I can hear some dissonance, which means the lower pitch strings are not being kept quiet. Sounds better now. Timing's off. Yeah, so right there, because you're like practicing this or playing this with the timing off, it's doing a disservice to yourself, because now you're not practicing perfectly. Remember, only perfect practice makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. So when you practice by being out of time, out of sync, allowing mistakes to happen, mistakes happen, but we got to address them right away. But it's like when you're playing along with something and you're out of sync, and if you know you're out of sync, that's one of the worst things you can do, is just continue going knowing that you're out of sync. The only time it's okay, or one of the only times I can think of that it's okay to keep playing when you are out of sync and trying to get back into it, is band practice type stuff, because you do need to know the material well enough that when it gets off, you can get back on it. But when it comes to practicing your technique to make that as good as possible, yeah, you got to address the mistake right away. So yeah, very much out of sync by the time you got to the end of that. And that's one of the things I'm hoping will be addressed and helped with the new thing. I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but let's pull it up now. Oops, there we go. So yeah, it's much shorter in terms of like how many notes we're playing in a row. So having these smaller pieces like this is going to help with the timing, or it should help with the timing and the rhythm. And we might just need to work on rhythm stuff too, because if you can't hear that things are wrong, you can't fix them. And that's a big issue that people have. And why I'm such a huge proponent of work things up in small increments to make sure everything sounds great the entire process. Every take you do needs to be good enough to be on your album. If what you played is not good enough to be on your album, then it wasn't good. Just flat out wasn't good. It's got to be as close to album worthy perfection as possible every single time. You got to practice like you are recording an album. But anyway, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing here. So this is going to be much easier to tell, how you're synced up with the click. Let's see, let's get back here.
No, to 120. That was 60.
Timing's a little bit shaky there. That's off now. Definitely off. Because I can hear your guitar and the MIDI guitar, they're not synced up anymore.
Yeah. I was losing the pick.
It's out of sync again.
I'll go to 150.
So that's one of the worst things you can do right there. You did not get a perfect take at 120, and going up from 120 to 150, way too big of a jump. And I would say 60 beats per minute, that wasn't even done properly either. So every step of the way, it's got to be done properly. So I'm going to venture a guess here and say just practice is not being done properly, and that's causing problems. I think at one point you mentioned something about having like a 2-beat intro, or not 2-beat, 2-bar intro. That. Oh man. All right, I'm just gonna take a second for me to like reset things over and over again. Hold on. Well, here. Uh-oh. If you look up, whoops. Come on, man. There. All right, so at the top of Guitar Pro here, where you got your hourglass and the metronome, click on those 3 little dots, and come down here to the count in duration. So just put that on 2 bars, and you'll have the extra count. So this way you're not having to get back to the guitar so fast. So yeah, just set that to however many bars you need there. So yeah, sometimes it gets going so fast if you're following Guitar Pro that you definitely need to have the extra count-ins there. All right. Back to you. Gotta adjust this again. Okay, this is not wanting to cooperate. Sorry. There it goes.
Just trying to get this in. As you can hear, there are people talking in the background. I live in a house with a wife and 3 kids. And I'm talking to the phone right now and not to particular.
Yeah, so it's just a rough start right there. It wasn't in time with the beginning. Yeah, it's just out of sync. So like I can hear the metronome clicking away, and you're not making the changes at the same time.
Pause that. I'm gonna go to 180. Custom values. Let's see.
So and like right there, so we can hear Guitar Pro start, and it sounds like now if you had jumped in where Guitar Pro was, that would have been one thing. It's still not a good idea to do it that way. Because like if you hit the space bar on Guitar Pro, when Guitar Pro's at set up, you just hit the space bar and get your pick in hand, then you can do that. Like have your left hand ready to go there. But it sounded like you just tried to catch up with the notes, like almost like cram them in to get to the next phrase. Maybe I heard that wrong. Well, let's confirm. Yeah. So trying to play catch up like that, not a good idea. It's only going to make things worse and lead to reverse progress. Something like that. Yeah, the synchronization with the 2 hands is off. It's not synced up. If you listen to this at half speed, it becomes more apparent. So like you should be hearing 4 pick strokes and then the new note every single time. It's like sometimes you're just picking a note 3 times. Sometimes you put your fretting hand down like after the new beat's already begun. Like you end up changing it when you're doing an upstroke instead of the downstroke. Sounded like you picked one note 5 times there before you finally changed notes with the fretting hand.
Alright. 200.
So if you were playing with the 200, that's how fast it would need to be going right there. So I'm going to play this at 25% speed. If this was done properly, again, you would hear 4 pick strokes for each note. Did I go too far? Yes, I did. This is where we need to be. Started off okay. That was 3 notes, not 4. So yeah, that's doing 3 notes sometimes instead of 4. That's 3 again. Yeah, so it's inconsistent. Sometimes you play the note 3 times, sometimes you play it 4.
Day. So no, 220 I should say. 240. And those 4 bars. And those 4 bars. Alright, let's see. I'm going up to, let's just say 240, which is probably going to be too fast for me. I've been like maxing out around like 200 on this. Or no, 220 I should say. Let's see. It's a new day.
So unfortunately, this is a case of you're unaware of whether it's correct or not. So you haven't played it at 220. It hasn't been there. It's not accurate. Sometimes, again, like you pick some notes 4 times, sometimes it's 3. The speed's not there. You're not keeping up with the metronome, and it's not synced up properly. So that sounds like you're doing like triplets. Sounds like you're picking 3 times per click. That's triplets. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that's all right. Gotta turn this down a bit because if you're actually playing at 240, because like right there, that's about the speed you were doing it. Right? So, yeah, you're doing triplets. If you're actually doing 16ths, it's much faster. And that was very good. So it's definitely faster. body warmed up for that. My elbow's starting to get irritated. But anyway, I think that kind of sums up the whole thing right there. Definitely going kind of late on this video, but when we first have to go over stuff like this, sometimes these videos take a little bit of time. So hopefully this isn't a huge downer of a video to be listening to and watching. Like I said, this is all about trying to be helpful, get you aware of what's going wrong, so this way you can make it all go right. But yeah, definitely watch that video on how to practice your lessons. Very important. Talks about how to address your mistakes, how to work things up. And yeah, it has to be, for right now, in order to make sure that you're doing things properly, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, exactly how it's described in that Metronome Method ebook. It's got to be done that way for right now, because you're not hearing the rhythm. And a big part of doing the metronome stuff that way is to make sure, or to help give you your best chance of hearing things properly. No guarantee you're going to hear it properly, because the ear needs to be trained. The ear needs to be trained on how it's supposed to sound. So this is what we have for the new thing to try. Here it is at 60. So 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. 1E and a 2. It's a little bit too quiet on the metronome side of things. Alright, 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. 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 At 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. At 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. $200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So see if you can get to that. See if you get to 200. Well, 180 is a great place to get to. 200 is even better, but see if you can get to 180. It's got to be clean, dead on, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'll play this a few times so you can follow along when you're ready to. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. And for bonus points, 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay. So yeah, take your time with it. Take your time. Please watch that video on how to practice your lessons, because it's super, super important. Super important. And I think that's it. All right. Any questions, let me know. I'll see you again in the new video.